Laplacian matrix denoted by L and defined by D minus A, and then normalized adjacency matrix which is defined by D inverse A, and then finally Laplacian matrix which is defined by D plus A. Last one is Seidel matrix which is denoted by A and defined defined by S equals to J minus I minus 2A, where J is all one matrix and I is the identity matrix and A is the adjacency matrix. Among them, we are concerned about the pseudo matrix. Suppose we consider a real sequence D with elements at alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha n.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you put any slides on the screen? Have you shared in a slide?
It is visible, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not visible here. Okay, let me check. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Here B is a real sequence and we consider a symmetric matrix AB whose entries are alpha ij, where alpha is equals to alpha I when I is strictly greater than j, and it is alpha j when j is strictly greater than I, and for I equals to j, the entries will be 0. So that means that the matrix AB looks like this one, and this kind of matrix is called the threshold matrix, which is associated with a real sequence. Here real sequence is B. And an interesting thing is that all the element in the L pattern means this kind of L pattern. See, the first L is alpha 2, and except the diagonal elements, remaining elements are same. Here, the third L pattern elements all have the value alpha 3. In the fourth L pattern, all have the element alpha 4 like this. So this kind of matrix is called threshold matrix associated with the sequence B. The definition of threshold graph state that a P4, C4 and 2K2 tree graph is called a threshold graph. That means a threshold graph will not contain P4 as its induced subgraph, as well as it does not contain C4 as its induced subgraph, and also it does not contain 2K2. That means two copies of complete graph on two vertices. So a threshold graph will not contain these three kind of graph as its induced subgraph. Let gamma be a threshold graph with the vertex set V, whose elements are V1, V2 up to Vn, and the binary string is alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha n. Then AB will be the adjacency matrix of the threshold graph gamma, and consequently the serial matrix will be given by this relation, and we see that S will take the value like this matrix. And if we consider the element 1 minus 2 alpha equals to beta I for I equals to 1 to n minus 1, then the above matrix will take the form like this one, which is denoted by equation number 1. Here the first row are 0, beta 2, beta 3 up to beta n, and second row is beta 2, 0, beta 3 up to beta n, like this way. And the interesting fact is that every threshold graph can be presented by using a unique binary string, and a threshold graph can be drawn by performing two graph operations. One is adding a single vertex, that is an isolated vertex, and another operation is adding a dominating vertex. Dominating vertex means it is adjacent to all other remaining vertices which are previously added. And for our simplicity, we use some basic notation. Without loss of generality, we take the binary string alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha n, like 0 to the power s1, 1 to the power t1, up to 0 to the power sk, 1 to the power tk. And we always take alpha 1 equals to 0 and alpha n equals to 1 for a connected threshold graph. And we take summation si equals to s and summation ti equals to small t. And consequently, we take s plus t equals to n. use the notation spec W, which means that it is the spectrum of a matrix W. So in this section, I will show how to draw a threshold graph from its binary string. Here the binary string B equals to 0 square 1 cube 0 cube 1 square. That means first two vertices will be isolated vertex. So two vertices are isolated, and next three vertices will be dominating. That means next three vertices will be adjacent to the all other vertices. So this is vertices 1. Here red edges mean that it is added. Black edges mean that it is added earlier, and red edges mean that it is added at the last from the last dominating vertex. Here the consecutive three vertices will be dominating, so this is first dominating vertex, this one. And then vertex 4 will be also dominating, and then vertex 5 will be also dominating vertex, and the next three vertex will be isolated. So three vertices are isolated vertices, and the last two vertices will be dominating. And this is the complete structure of the threshold graph, whose binary string is 0 square 1 cube 0 cube and 1 square. The adjacency matrix A and the CDL matrix S of a threshold graph gamma with the binary string B, where B is equals to 0 to the power S1, 1 to the power T1, 0 to the power S2, up to 0 to the power Sk, 1 to the power Tk, will be the square matrix of size n, where the adjacency matrix will be given by these matrices, where 0 to 0 S1 is the square matrix of size S1, and J S1 cross T1 is the matrix, block matrix of size S1 cross T1, which all elements are 1, and the Seidel matrix will be given by these matrices. See, all the diagonal matrices are square matrix, and the non-diagonal elements may or may not be square matrix. So equation 2 represents the Seidel matrix of the threshold graph. To study the spectral property of a big size matrix is very difficult, and in that case the quotient matrix, or sometimes it is called partition matrix also, this kind of matrix play an important role because its size is relatively small. That is why the concept of quotient matrix is introduced here. First, we consider an equitable partition pi with the cell C1, C2 up to C2k. It is an equitable partition of the vertex set of gamma, and where the cardinality of C1 is S1 and the cardinality of C2 is T1, and so on. Then the adjacency quotient matrix denoted by QA and the shaded quotient matrix denoted by QS, corresponding to the same equitable partition pi, will be the square matrix of size 2k, and it will be given by QA equals to this matrix, and QS will be the matrix given by this matrix. Okay. And now, to visualize the concept of equitable partition, a figure is shown here. For that, I consider the threshold graph with binary string B equals to 0 square 1 cube 0 cube and 1 square. And here the core cells are C1, C2, C3 and C4. The first cell C1 contains 2 isolated vertex, and then second cell contains 3 dominating vertex, and then third cell contains 3 isolated vertices, and the last cell contains 2 dominating vertices. So this is the visualization of the concept of equitable partition. Now I will talk about my own contribution in this direction. So with prove some important properties of QS and derive some formula for the multiplicity of the Seidel eigenvalues plus minus 1, and then we characterize all the threshold graphs with at most 5 distinct Seidel eigenvalues, and finally we show that post vectority may be occur if we consider Seidel matrix. And the first theorem states that QS is always diagonalizable, and here I cover the sketch of the proof only. For proof of this theorem, I consider the diagonal matrix whose diagonal elements are S1, T1, S2, T2 up to Sk, Tk, and then we see that the quotient matrix QS is similar to the symmetric matrix d to the power half QS d to the power minus half. So from that relation, we can say that QS is diagonalizable. And the next theorem states that QS and QA are always non-singular. To prove QA is non-singular, we consider the theorem 2 and 3 of Bernard and Mehtari of reference 9, and they showed that QA is non-singular. To prove QS is non-singular, first we convert the matrix QS into a tridiagonal matrix T, where T is given by this one, and using the algorithm 2.1 of reference 14, we see that the determinant of this tridiagonal matrix is non-zero. So we can say that the matrix QS is also non-singular. Here, the recurrence formula for the characteristic polynomial of AC is determined, and for that we consider the binary string B equals to B1, B2 up to binary string B equals to alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha n, and we use the notation BR, where BR equals to alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha r, and suppose phi rx denote the characteristic polynomial of the Seidel matrix of the threshold graph with binary string BR, and then the characteristic polynomial will be given by this recurrence formula, where phi 1x equals to x and phi 2x equals to x square minus 1. To prove this theorem, we see that here phi rx is the matrix this one, and on this matrix we consider two cases. In the first case, we consider beta r equals to beta r minus 1, and in the second case, beta r equals to minus of beta r minus 1. Because beta I always takes the value either plus 1 or minus 1, so beta r and beta r minus 1, either they are same or they are opposite in sign, but they are equal in magnitude. So that is why we are considering two cases. Case 1 beta r equals to beta r minus 1, and case 2 beta r equals to minus of beta r minus 1. And performing few matrix operation, we can see that the characteristic polynomial of this matrix can be formed in this way. The next theorem states that minus 1 cannot be the spectrum of QS when Tk is greater than 1. And to prove this theorem, we assume that QS has the eigenvalue minus 1, and then there exists a non-zero vector x. Its components are x1, x2 up to x2k, such that it satisfies the eigenvalue equation, that is QS x equals to minus x. And solving this system of linear equation, we find that all the components of x are 0. So our assumption was wrong. So minus 1 cannot be the spectrum of QS when Tk is greater than 1. And as a corollary of this theorem, you can state that when Tk is equals to 1, then minus 1 is a simple eigenvalue of QS. And to prove this theorem, we see that the eigenvector corresponding to the eigenvalue minus 1, it looks like this one, x equals to 0, 0, 0, and the last two entries will be 1 and sk. And any other eigenvector corresponding to the eigenvalue minus 1 will be the constant multiple of x. So the multiplicity of the eigenvalue minus 1 will be simple. So we can say that when tk is 1, then minus 1 is a simple eigenvalue of qs. In the next theorem state that plus 1 cannot be the spectrum of qs when we take s1 is greater than strictly greater than 1. And to prove this theorem, we assume that qs has the eigenvalue 1 and the corresponding eigenvector, let it be x, whose entries are x1, x2 up to x2k, such that it satisfies the eigenvalue equation, that is qs x equals to x. And solving this system of linear equation, we find that all the entries xi are 0. So our assumption was wrong. So plus 1 cannot be the spectrum of qs when s1 is strictly greater than 1. And as a consequence of this theorem, we can say that 1 will be the simple eigenvalue of qs if we take s1 equals to 1. And in that case, the eigenvector will be looks like this one, x equals to t1, then second entry will be minus 1, then all other entries will be 0. And if there is any other eigenvector corresponding to the eigenvalue plus 1, then we see that plus 1 will be the constant multiple of x. So the geometric multiplicity of the eigenvalue 1 is simple. The next theorem states that all the eigenvalues of qs are simple. To prove this theorem, we consider lambda an eigenvalue of qs and let the corresponding eigenvector is capital X, which entries are x1, x2 up to x2k. And we consider here capital X is the eigenvector corresponding to the lambda such that xl is non-zero and xm is 0 for all m less than l, where l is minimum. And then when l equals to 2p, where p lies between 1 and k, and then we have already proved that lambda equals to plus minus 1 is a simple eigenvalue, and we prove this theorem by taking lambda not equals to plus minus 1. And from the eigenvalue equation relation, that means qs into x equals to lambda x, we see that all the entries xl plus I equals to cl plus I into xl, where cl plus I at the constant depends on the eigenvalue lambda. Thus, we can construct x whose entries are capital X equals to xl into 0, 0, 0, 0, then 1, then cl plus 1, then cl plus 2, and the last entry will be c2k. And if we find another eigenvector corresponding to the eigenvalue lambda, then we see that the eigenvector x dash will be the constant multiple of x, and hence the geometric multiplicity of lambda is 1. And we have already proved that qs is diagonalizable, so the algebraic multiplicity of lambda is also 1. That means all the eigenvalues of qs are simple. To summarize the discussion up to this slide, we can say that qs has the following spectral properties. Number 1, qs is diagonalizable. We have already proved it. Number 2, there always exists a matrix P such that SP equals to PQS. And from this relation, we can say that an eigenvalue of QS is also an eigenvalue of S. And we have already proved that QS is non-singular. That means 0 cannot be the eigenvalue of QS. Property 5 states that plus minus 1 cannot be the spectrum of QS if we take S1 is strictly greater than 1 and Tk is strictly greater than 1. And property 6 states that all the eigenvalues of QS are simple. And next property is eigenvalues of QS are real because QS is similar to a symmetric matrix. Now we state a theorem which gives the multiplicity of the Seidel eigenvalue minus 1, and this state that the multiplicity of the schedule eigenvalue minus 1 will be summation si minus k when tk is strictly greater than 1, and it is summation si minus k plus 1 when tk is exactly 1. And to prove this theorem, we consider two cases when tk is equals to 1 and when tk is strictly greater than 1. In the first case, if we take tk is strictly greater than 1, then minus 1 cannot be the spectrum of qs, we already proved it, and the multiplicity of the eigenvalue minus 1 in S will be exactly summation Si minus 1. And if we take tk equals to 1, in that case, minus 1 will be a simple eigenvalue of Qs, we have already proved it, and so the multiplicity will be 1 more than we got in the previous case. That means it will be summation Si minus k plus 1. The next theorem, count the multiplicity of the schedule eigenvalue plus 1, which state that the multiplicity of the schedule eigenvalue plus 1 will be summation pi minus k when s1 is strictly greater than 1, and it will be 1 more when s1 is exactly 1. And to prove this theorem, here also we consider two cases. In the first case, we consider s1 is strictly greater than 1, and in that case, we already proved that plus 1 cannot be the spectrum of qs. So therefore, the multiplicity of the eigenvalue 1 in S will be exactly summation Ti minus K. And in the case 2, if we take S1 equals to 1, then 1 will be the simple eigenvalue of Qs. So in that case, the multiplicity will be 1 more than we got in the previous case. Here, I will give some classes of threshold graph which have at most 5 distinct schedule eigenvalues. The first theorem states that let gamma be the threshold graph with binary string b, and then gamma will have two distinct scale eigenvalues if and only if the binary string of gamma will be of the form either this one or this one. For the first case, note that the graph is a star graph defined on s1 plus 1 vertices, and the string is 0 to the power s1 and 1 to the power 1. So it will have two distinct scale eigenvalues, which are s1 with multiplicity 1 and minus 1 with multiplicity s1. And for the second case, the binary string is 0 to the power 1 and 1 to the power t1, where t1 is greater than or equals to 1. Note that this graph is a complete graph defined on 1 plus t1 vertices, and it has two distinct serial eigenvalues, which are minus 1 with multiplicity 1 and 1 with multiplicity t1. The next corollary states that the threshold graph gamma will have four distinct serial eigenvalues if and only B will have the form either this one or this one. In the first case, the binary string will take the form 0 to the power s1, 1 to the power t1, where both s1 and t1 are strictly greater than 1. And in the second case, 0 to the power 1, 1 to the power t1, 0 to the power s2, 1 to the power 1. And to prove this theorem, we consider the general case. We consider the general binary string of a threshold graph, where b equals to 0 to the power s1 up to 1 to the power tk, and for four distinct serial eigenvalues, k must be less than or equals to 2, because qs will be of size 2k. So, and we know that qs has distinct eigenvalues. So, for four distinct serial eigenvalues, k must be lesser than equals to 2. So, we consider two cases when k equals to 1 and k equals to 2. In k equals to 1, the binary string will be b equals to 0 to the power s1 and 1 to the power t1, and if we take s1 and t1 both strictly greater than 1, then the quotient matrix QS has two distinct serial eigenvalues which are other than plus minus 1. So therefore S has four distinct eigenvalues: minus 1 with multiplicity s1 minus 1 and plus 1 with multiplicity t1 minus 1, and another two simple eigenvalues will comes from the matrix QS. For the case 2, when k equals to 2, then the string will be b equals to 0 to the power s1, 1 to the power t1, 0 to the power s2, 1 to the power t2, and in that case gamma will have four distinct serial eigenvalue, and in that case S cannot have the eigenvalue plus minus 1 outside of the spectrum of QS. Therefore, four distinct eigenvalues is possible only when QS contains the eigenvalue plus minus 1. That means only when S1 is 1 and T2 is 1. And in that case, the eigenvalue of S will be 1 with multiplicity T1 and minus 1 with multiplicity S2, and remaining two eigenvalues will be looks like this one. And conversely, if we take the binary string b equals to this one, then we see that S will have four distinct serial eigenvalues. S will have four distinct eigenvalues. As a consequence of previous two corollary, we can say that there does not exist any threshold graph with three distinct serial eigenvalues. The next corollary states that the threshold graph gamma will have five distinct serial eigenvalues if and only if b equals to 0 to the power 1, 1 to the power t1, 0 to the power s2, 1 to the power t2, where t2 is strictly greater than 1, or we will take the from 0 to the power s1, 1 to the power t1, 0 to the power s2, and 1 to the power 1 with s1 is strictly greater than 1. First, we consider the general string b, where b equals to 0 to the power s1 up to 1 to the power tk. Then for five distinct eigenvalues, k must be equals to 2, because QS will have four distinct eigenvalues, and if we take k greater than 2, then S will have more than five distinct eigenvalues. So for that, the value of k must be equals to 2, and in that case the binary string will looks like b equals to 0 to the power s1, 1 to the power t1, 0 to the power s2, 1 to the power t2, and then QS has four distinct eigenvalues. We have already proved it, and now S will have five distinct serial eigenvalues. If plus minus 1 are the eigenvalues of S, and exactly one of plus minus 1 belongs to the spectrum of S, that means plus minus 1 cannot be the eigenvalue simultaneously of QS. So we consider two cases when plus 1 will be the eigenvalue and minus 1 will not be the eigenvalue in that case, and the last case minus 1 will be the eigenvalue of QS and plus 1 will not be the eigenvalue of QS. So in the first case, we take S1 equals to 1 and T2 is strictly greater than 1, and we have already proved that when S1 is 1, then plus 1 will be the spectrum of QS, and when T2 is greater than 1, then minus 1 cannot be the eigenvalue of QS. So therefore the spectrum of S will be minus 1 with multiplicity S2 minus 1 and plus 1 with multiplicity T1 plus T2, and remaining three eigenvalues will be alpha 1, beta 1, gamma 1, where alpha 1, beta 1, gamma 1 are the distinct eigenvalues of QS which are not equals to plus 1. And in case 2, we take S1 is strictly greater than 1, because here plus 1 will not be the eigenvalue of QS, and we take T2 equals to 1. So in that case minus 1 will be the eigenvalue of QS, and therefore the spectrum of S will be -1 with multiplicity S1 plus S2 and
Shantanu?
I conclude this presentation by showing that two non-isomorphic threshold graphs may be co-spectral with respect to its Seidel matrix. Although it is well known that two non-isomorphic threshold graphs are not co-spectral with respect to its adjacency matrix, but here we see that this property is violated if we consider threshold graph. If we consider threshold graph, if we consider a Seidel matrix, and the theorem states that we consider two threshold graphs, gamma 1 and gamma 2, which are defined on n vertices with the binary string b1 equals to 0 to the power n minus 2 1 square, and another string is b2 equals to 0 1 0 to the power n minus 3 and 1 respectively. Then we see that gamma 1 and gamma 2 are always co-spectral on the Seidel matrix. And to prove this theorem, we see that the characteristic equation of QS for the binary string b1 and b2 are respectively. For the first string, it will be this equation, and for the second string, the characteristic equation of QS will be this one. And we see that both the string will have the same Seidel spectrum, which are -1 with multiplicity n minus 3 and 1 as its simple eigenvalue, and another two simple eigenvalues are alpha beta, which are the roots of the first equation. That means the characteristic equation of characteristic equation for the binary string b1. To visualize the theorem, we have considered the value n equals to 4 here, and we see that the threshold graphs gamma 1 and gamma 2 with binary string b1 will be 0 square 1 square and b2 will be 0 1 0 1, and we see that two graphs are non-isomorphic because their number of edges are distinct. Still, we see that they are co-spectral on Seidel matrix because both of them have the Seidel eigenvalue plus minus 1 and plus minus root over 5. So this is the non-isomorphic co-spectral threshold graph with minimum number of vertices. Here we define co-spectral graph with 4 vertices. I understood the subject matter with the help of these references, which consist 12 research articles and 2 important books. That's all about my presentation.
Have
Thank
you considered any integrality theorem do you have?
Sorry?
The eigenvalues are integers, integral
No,
graphs.
not integers. Maybe fraction also.
Are there such graphs whose Seidel matrices are having integral eigenvalues?
There maybe exist. I did not focus on that portion actually.
Okay. Because that is the usual type of work that people do in matrix theory. That's why I asked.
Yeah. That is another thing, but I did not focus on that portion.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Other
If you
questions?
have any doubt, ask me please. Hello?
Yeah. So I'm waiting if someone is asking.
Okay.
Shantanu, about this co-spectrality,
Yes, sir.
are there examples of graphs which are co-spectral with respect to Seidel matrix? I'm sorry, co-spectral with respect to adjacency matrix, but they are not co-spectral with respect to serial matrix. The reverse way.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. What is the example?
Actually, I have given one example here. This one is co-spectral with respect to Seidel matrix, but I did not actually check whether it is co-spectral, not co-spectral with respect to adjacency. Yeah, of course, because there is a theorem that two graph will not be co-spectral with respect to adjacency matrix. It is already proved. So if you consider these two graphs, they will not be co-spectral with respect to adjacency matrix,
Oh,
but they are co-spectral with respect to Seidel matrix here. Because already there is a theorem that someone proved that two threshold graph will not be co-spectral with respect to adjacency matrix.
Okay. You are saying that first result you stated.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So this is for n is equal to 4.
Yes, sir.
For other values of n, do you have examples or do you have any
No,
construction?
in that case, actually, the graph will be will take a huge number of vertices. So that is why I am taking a small graph for better visualization. You can take n equals to 4, 5, 6, any other value.
Okay, see, I'm Vijay Kumar from Cochin.
Actually, you have to take n equals to 1 means, sir. Actually, you have to take n equals to greater than equals to 3 because, sorry, greater than equals to 4. Here, we consider the string b2 equals to 0, 1, 0 to the power n minus 3. So, all the powers should be greater than equals to 1. So, for that, the least value will be n equals to 4. That is why we are considering n equals to 4 for small graph.
Okay. See, my question is motivated by our results in 2008, which gives a construction of pairs of co-spectral graphs with respect to adjacency. We have a theorem in 2008 match, which says that for every n, we can construct a pair of co-spectral graphs. Okay, so
with
if you are
respect
putting
to
a
adjacency
condition
matrix.
Yeah. For adjacency matrix. So similarly, what I am asking was, can you give a construction of threshold graphs for every n which are co-spectral, non-isomorphic threshold graphs having the same spectrum?
Yeah, this sequence gives the pair of co-spectral threshold graph with respect to Seidel matrix. So this sequence can give B1 and B2 for any value of n greater than equals to 4.
For every n greater than 4,
yeah,
you are giving examples of co-spectral graphs with respect to Seidel matrix.
Yeah.
Okay.
There may be any other sequence, but I find out this one.
Okay. Right. We have a couple of papers on adjacency, co-spectrality, and equi-energetic, and so on. Are you looking at the energy of these matrices? I mean graphs?
Yeah, actually, in future we will study that portion, the energy and the eigenvalue bound property, and we will investigate the interval which does not contain any eigenvalue for the Seidel matrix.
I was
that is our future work.
There is a work by Trevisan.
Yeah.
We also have some results on eigenvalue free intervals.
Yeah.
There is no. Okay, so such things are interesting. A couple of papers by Trevisan will help you.
Yeah, of course, I am following that kind of papers.
Trevisan's paper.
Yeah, I am following that kind of papers, and in future we will focus on that portion. We will focus on energy of Seidel matrix, and we will investigate on eigenvalue free interval.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Fine.
Are there other questions? Okay. If not, thank you, Santanu, for the interesting talk.
Okay, thank you, sir.